featuring Dr. Michael Ventris, meteorologist Sean Pratt, and your host, Colin Golzinski.
Why don't we show the website, and we can show that we are seeing something for the Colts Jags in Jacksonville, and we'll get there, and then we'll bring Kevin on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, why don't you start, Colin, with the weather table, and we could show as of game time what our potential impact games are.
Yep. So on our website, FFWeatherguys.com, we have an updated weather table that I'm just going to zoom for you guys if I can. I can't on this one. That's okay. So right here, we are going to put up all the games that we have for the week, and we are showing the Jacksonville Indy game. And do you guys, Sean or Mike, do you want to walk through what our table does and what it shows and how to read it?
Yeah, sure. So this table will update 4 times a day, and it will bring in new weather information. When the weather models release that information, it comes onto this table. So it'll print out what the particular run is seeing, like what types of, if there's going to be fair weather, there's going to be any rain, how much, any wind. And then there's a little column all the way to the right that talks about the impact. And that's what we all care about here, fantasy football. Is there going to be an impact? And we're actually not telling you what those impacts are. You're gonna have to come and watch us and talk, listen to us spiel and have problems on Twitch to understand what those impacts are. But in the end, it'll tell you what games are there to watch.
Yeah. And as we progress this year, we really are hoping to have some kind of interface to show production impacts.
Yep.
But usually we used to use our podcast and YouTube channel for that. But we will also be doing Twitch to discuss those impacts. And I think Sunday mornings we'll be doing a live session too while we can see it. Also
on high impact weather events.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to be live again on Sundays for if there's high impact, and we'll be fielding questions day of. And the reason for that is because for some weather, we have better basically model data coming in as we get closer to the event. So we'll have much more confidence in certain events.
Thank you. So also available on the website is to discuss, but you can also see our weather tables that show precip and wind based on the area of the country. And we'll get into this week, but also that the stadiums are located with the little X, and as you filter through the time, and we'll discuss more, you can see that for the stadiums will change to the caution to match the table with the color. So that's a little bit of what we do and some of the products that we have. Why don't we get into a discussion of with our
Mike,
friend?
why don't you start it off, since we have a Colt Jag question? Why don't you start us off in the tropics?
Sure.
Well, so do we want to talk about Kevin, or do we want to talk about weather?
No, we're going to do the forecast first. We're going to break it down, and then we're going to bring our guest in a little bit later.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So where do you want me to go, Mike? You want me to go to the weather map?
Yeah, let's look at our nice, beautiful weather maps here, and we want to look at the precipitation map in the U.S., and we want to go to Sunday around 18Z, which is the Zulu time. Essentially, it's around 2 p.m. there. So if we go to our map and we zoom in at 18Z on Sunday, 18Z. We will show you the actual the forecast. And so when we're looking at the actual rainfall here in the Jacksonville area, there is a potential tropical system developing. And the National Hurricane Center has been monitoring the system for the last 24 to 48 hours. The last that I looked at it, it was a 60% chance of development. That being said, we're starting to see models start to show a bit more intense system as this passes across Florida and moves across the warm ocean waters of the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, and potentially could intensify into a tropical storm or potentially a low-grade hurricane. Now, what we care about is Sunday afternoon in Jacksonville and what's going to happen as this disturbance passes through. It looks like right now there's going to be a lot of convection, thunderstorms that kind of pop up during specific times of day generated by the forcing of this potential tropical.
So what does that mean, Mike? I mean, you're getting a little lengthy here.
Yeah. So in the end, we're going to have to worry about thunderstorm risk in Jacksonville. The models are having a hard time of pinpointing when those storms are going to be passing by the stadium at what time on Sunday. Okay.
So 18Z is what time? 5 p.m.?
2 p.m.
2 p.m. And the game's at what time?
It's a 1 p.m. game.
1 p.m. game. So
Afternoon
right now we're showing that the weather may not be so impactful based on these graphics if someone was to click on them.
That's correct. The heaviest rain looks to be further south across the southeastern coast of Florida there. And there could be some of these little like bands of precipitation that come into the stadium, but it's really unpredictable at this point. We're going to have to be, paying attention to the higher resolution models here around game time. This could potentially be a game that Sean and I will jump on to a live stream on Sunday here and
Luker,
talk about.
To answer your question, we're watching it. We don't know if there will be any severe impact. And what Mike was trying to say is that it's a little bit unknown right now, as all is with weather, and especially with the tropics. So, stay tuned, follow us. Sunday morning will be a lot more information before you need to set your lineup or pick your lineup for DFS.
Yeah. Just like Mike said, and like Colin said, this is very convectively based, which means it's really unpredictable. So if we do get rain there, it could really be heavy.
Sean, what does that mean to the normal viewer
that means when we talk about convection, usually we're talking about thunderstorms. And thunderstorms, weather models have a really tough time picking up on because they're what we call mesoscale features, which are small scale. And so models, based on just how they work, have a really tough time capturing convection.
The resolution is too coarse.
Exactly. Here's the thing with convection.
It means that the resolution of the model cannot see a thunderstorm. These model developers have to physically put the thunderstorms into the model through a method called convective parameterization.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If they get rain, it could be heavy. That's the point we're trying to make here. And I ran my model for how this could affect fantasy football points. And we're looking at a potential 10% reduction in QB play and a possible 16% reduction in wide receiver play. So I don't want to, I want to get more information before we post that out. So again, on Sunday, follow us. We'll give more information for you.
Great question. See, we're trying to find our stride. You got to be careful what you ask these two weather weenies because you may be in for a 20-minute conversation.
Well, be prepared. People like the 20-minute conversation of weather. Everyone loves weather. Come on, man. Especially how it impacts our life.
I'm not saying that people don't like the 20-minute conversation. People have to understand the 20 minutes of conversation.
Yeah. And then speaking of weather, the one other game that, maybe not worth showing, but we have an area of low pressure developing over the Midwest. It's going to track north and trail with it a cold front, and that may impact our game on Sunday as well. So, if you have a Josh Allen, a Le'Veon Bell, or like a Stephon Diggs, there may be some impacts to those games as well. So we'll be on top of that for Sunday.
It does seem like the rain's going to be pushing through the Buffalo region.
Yeah, I agree.
Before the game starts. So we're a little bit less concerned with the Buffalo game, but we know how these models are. There's issues at this far.
So right now at the again, I'm sorry.
So
what time is
we have another question about running backs. So I'm guessing for both of these, talking about a possible running back boost. And based on the data that I'm looking at, there's less variability. So the ceiling of running backs is not as high. So even though they may get a few more carries, they're not as efficient with those carries. So they're not getting potentially as many yards or as many fantasy points during these heavy weather impacted games. So if on Sunday, if we are getting heavy thunderstorms and they do seem to be impacting the game, that doesn't necessarily mean the running backs are getting a huge boost.
And you got to keep in mind, both run defenses here are pretty stout. You're going to, the Buffalo Bills has a really good rush defense, and as does the Jets. Jets actually did pretty good last year when containing runs. So both running backs are going to have their issues regardless of whether they're trying to play against a top defense. So,
yeah, agreed. We have some. You have the Colts. You have, the Jags are. You have Jonathan Taylor coming in. We'll see. And then there's the unpredictable. You have like rookies like Jonathan Taylor. We don't know exactly how the splits are going to go between him and Marlon Mack. So I don't see a lot of upside there with running backs. Then you have Chris Thompson against a Colts defense. I'm not buying that. I have him as a potential flex option, and I'm not going with him.